Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Tattoo Pedge.
I seen him. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't, you know, you hear about this, and then when you see this person, it's a different persona. I saw a regular dude just earning his, trying to make his earning, doing what he's got to do.
Yeah.
And I get introduced to him. He goes, "This is the guy I told you about. He's a friend of mine." He goes, "You're the guy that took over Mood Lounge." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Man," he goes, "I've never seen that place do better." He goes, "What's his name tells me this, and this, And I'm leaving his name out because he's a legit guy today. He doesn't do anything. He's got legit businesses. He's even doing movie producing, this guy, So I'm not going to mention him. I don't want to ruin anything for him. And I talked to Joe 3-4 minutes, and he was like, "Hey, enjoy yourself. The food's going to come out. I'm going to come and sit and eat with you guys." We're talking a little shop back and forth. Yeah, I'm asking, what can I ask? What can I talk? Because I don't know. Then he was a real gentleman. I didn't have many words to toss back and forth. I told a couple of jokes. He goes, "You're funny. Good looking guy. That's why they call him Vinny Gorgeous. And comes that a building that Joe Messino owns 3 blocks from Casablanca. It's called Johnny's Cafe. He opens up a cafe. It's not doing well. He knows what I did because I just got rid of my spot. This was about a year and a half after I closed my place down, about 2001. So he goes, he sends for me. And I go and I meet him at Casablanca. He goes, "Let's take a walk. You got a car? Yeah, drive me down this way." We go to Johnny's Cafe. What do you think? Place is banging, banging, marble everywhere, wood bar, beautiful, way too beautiful to make it a shithole bar. But he goes to
Yeah.
me, "Hey, you think you could bring your people here? We could run something here, and we could do something. I give you 50% of the action, and we split the machines and all that." I said, "I really like to." I said, "But my people left a bad taste in my mouth." He goes, "Come on, reconsider. You can make some good coin here. This and that. You could run whatever you want. I'll give you the okay. I'm the boss." Like joking, like who's gonna say no to me? I said, "I have to reject the offer. I'm really sorry." I said, "It's not something I could do." I go, "I hate these people." I said, "I need a little time away." He goes, "Well, I got this other guy. What do you know about him?" I said, "He's a wannabe." I said, straight up, he thinks he's a gangster. He's not. I go, when the time is gonna come, you're gonna see he's gonna fold. So this guy, he lets him open up. He goes, "All right, Pedge." He goes, "But I just need you to do me a favor. When you do come in here, anybody gets out of line, you know everybody." All right, yeah, I'll straighten them out. I went there, the place was booming. I gave him my connection for music. I said, "Blessings, here, call these people up, do what you need to do." And of course, my people did it again. They started breaking stuff. They started getting into fist fights. There was a stabbing. Just way too much attention to a mob establishment.
Yeah.
So, place kind of shut down. I get offered again right before I think Joe Messino gets locked away. He goes, "You want to take it over?" He goes, "Just come on, make it, do an American joint, do an Italian, Irish, whatever." I said, I can't. Like I just, when you lose the taste for something. Well,
Yeah.
I just lost that taste. I just didn't want to see a bar. I didn't want to deal anymore. I had ideas, but I was just like, I need more. I just need more time to do something else. He gets pinched. They confiscate the building. They confiscate the bar. They confiscate everything. I think he only got to keep like 1 point something million in illicit gains and stuff. He had apartment buildings throughout the
What
whole
did you
area.
think when Messina flipped?
Honestly, shocked. I did not see that coming. I really didn't, because at the time, Frankie Ferrino, um, that was running with the Gianninis, and he worked in Giannini Cafe. He was the coffee guy. Supposedly, I don't know. He flipped on him. He flipped on Joe. It was in the papers that Frankie testified against him. What Frankie had on him, I don't know, because Frankie wasn't in that league. Frankie wasn't. He was an associate. He was making his bones, but they were throwing murder at him for that Serbian guy that he murdered. With somebody else, and the guy that was at that murder turned out to be an informant, Joe Galante. He was an informant. He was at the murder. He participated in the murder, and it was well known in the streets for years, like before they picked anybody up, that Joe Galante was in on it, Frankie was in on it, and 2 other people. And they came to my house, banging on my door when the body was down the block, by the warehouses. And, I just played dumb. I was like, "I don't know. Well, you know this guy?" Yeah, I've seen him around. They start showing me black and whites. Well, you're hugging him and kissing him. Where were you last night? It's like, what do you mean? Where was I last night? I was here and there and this and that. You weren't at that cafe? Yeah, I was at the cafe. Did you see him? Yeah, and he left. And I was still there. If you have the surveillance, it's like, what are you busting my balls for? Just look at look at the rest of the pictures. I go, honestly, I go, I don't want to talk anymore. I'm lawyering up. So, Frankie ditched. Frankie went to the West Coast. I don't know what we didn't know that Joe was ratting until way later because he was giving so much information to the feds, man. He was feeding everybody. And then out of the Giannini crew, there was like 2 or 3 guys that I just found out are still active and were informing. One dude wore a wire to a induction ceremony in Canada. They made a banana guy out in Canada, and this guy went there, and the room was literally surveillance, FBI recording. They had the whole thing on tape, and I just found this out like a couple of months ago, and I was just like, "What? Like this is unreal how it unravels." Like I understand. Look, you get 12 guys. You guys ran around, you banged around, you did stuff together. You're facing 25 to life. You're going to turn because you can't do the time. Whatever. It's fine. I understand that. So I can understand the Gianninis all rolling on each other and flipping on each other. What I can't understand is like, how do you continue to be on the payroll and continue to do that? Like I don't get it. Joe Messina was very sick. Joe Messina was a hardball player. He was involved in that Donnie Brasco thing with Sonny Black and all of that.
3 capos, yeah.
Yeah. He was the one. Pop, pop, pop. Everybody knew that. In the street, it was known. But I don't know, man. He just turned. It was just, Frankie testified. There was a couple other people that testified. Then I think it was, I'm not great at mob lore, so I'm not one of those guys that can give you all of the details. I can't sit there and say I knew everybody, but I think Salvat Tal started to rat because they were saying Joe wanted to whack Sal. That was his brother-in-law. So he wanted to whack him. But also Sal was an ex-corrections officer. He should never have been underboss. That's like,
It's
yeah,
crazy. Like
yeah, like
he's part of law enforcement. How are you law enforcement and
listen to
you're
me.
with
He
them?
was an ex-correctional officer, which he was probably the dirtiest ever. And he was, okay, so he was shady. But I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. In that life, like we were talking about that girlfriend thing, that life started to turn me off when I started seeing how these people were acting. Frankie being one. Frankie was just like grabbing God by the balls because his brother was a made guy, and he was just doing like I don't know if you remember this, if you heard the story that I told about Frankie shooting the guy over a card game. Frankie shoots this guy in the chest. We were in a social club. This guy Charlie was there. He's running his mouth off during the game, and he's shuffling the cards a certain way. And Frankie just couldn't take it. Frankie said it's over a card, but it wasn't. It was over a minuscule thing. And he goes, "Hey, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm gonna pop you. I'm gonna shoot you." And Charlie's, "Well, Mickey, why are you gonna shoot at me? What are we thinking? Boom, 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 3 times, drops the gun on the table, walks out, white as a ghost, gone. We're like hovering, like, what's going on? We start running around. This guy, not dead, gets up, big fat guy, gets up, goes, "You let him shoot at me. You let him shoot at me. What's the matter with you, fanculo?" He's like screaming at us, cursing at us. We're like in amazement trying to hop in our cars to get out of here. So everybody's like getting in their cars, jumping in. And this guy walks across the street, gets in his Riviera, I think it was. He had a Riviera, gets in his Riviera, drives himself to the freaking hospital. 3 days later, is a fucking sit down. I mean, legit, man, like sit down. Like Frankie had to go. And then Frankie comes back. Dude, how do you pop somebody? And then his brother goes, "I'm going to take care of it. You're going to pay him X amount of dollars." I never asked Frankie. I just heard like Frankie got off. Frankie got off. Frankie always got off because Frankie was trying to make his bones. He got lucky. His uncle, Cheech, was a banana, a made guy. So he had Cheech and his cousin Phil. And it was, when you're blessed, when you have that kind backing you up,
Yeah.
God can't touch you. The Pope can come down and God is going to move the Pope out the way because you're under God's rule now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So not to quote a line from Pope of Greenwich Village, but not even the Pope can touch you. It's the truth. But so I mean, it's those stories, and then they have this thing, the mob, do as I say, don't do as I do. So a lot of these mob guys fuck other guys' girls and they bang them and whatever. It's just when you're gonna find out about it, and when you find out, you can't do nothing. You gotta order a sit down. But who the hell are you on the peon list to order a sit down? What you end up doing is you pull a John Gotti move. You think John Gotti was the first one to invent shoot the boss? Hell's no.
No,
They did that
no.
shit. Listen, those wars, the Colombo wars and everything, everybody's a target. They come and they hit you.
Luciano
There
invented
you
that
go.
shit.
There you go. Yeah. So it is what it is, you know. And when you're in that life, you have to tread lightly because there's a lot of nepotism. There's a lot of, it's just that,
What about Dominic? What about Dominic Sicali? Did you ever see him on the street?
I'm gonna
Because
be honest. He looks. Look, like I said, I'm not gonna sit there and say I know everybody. Okay, I don't know if Dominic remembers me. I know I've seen him in the Bronx because he was tied with a lot of Albanians, and I remember. Uh, what the hell's his name now? Geez, man, Rudai. Rudai's right hand man was the guy that I knew, Nicola Deadeye. Nicola Deadeye used to run Sue's Rendezvous up in New Rochelle. So I used to go to that strip bar and hang out at Sue's Rendezvous, and Nick would work the door, sell drugs, do this, do that. He had machines in the neighborhood. He was a big time Catholic Albanian, and he spoke Serbian too, so he was mad cool. So you know, I met him. I'm not gonna sit there and like, yeah, I met him. I shook his hand. We kissed each other. No, I was introduced like a regular Dom. Hey, how you doing? It was in passing. It wasn't like a formal introduction. It was you don't need to know him. He doesn't need to know you. I don't know if he asked about me, and Nick stood up for me and said, "Yo, he's a crazy Serb. He's this, he's that." Because I know one of my friends went on his show and asked, like, while he was doing a live, "Hey, did you ever do anything with the Serbs?" And he blatantly, straight out said, "No." So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I stood out to him. Maybe if he sees me, he'll say he looks familiar. If he wants to throw me that bone, but I did meet him, but it wasn't a formal introduction. It was just, this is Dom, this is Pedge. That's it.
Yeah,
But I got nothing to say bad about him. I can't say nothing good either because I don't know. He wasn't really running around in my neighborhood. He was supposedly in the late 2000s, but I was already kind of like out the game doing my own thing. And I had, like I said, I had a few weed spots. I had a little money on the street. And I was already planning to move to Jersey. By 2008, I already bought a house and I was custom building the house out there. So I was driving back and forth, taking care of that. And, once I got to Jersey, I kind of got introduced to the family out in Jersey, just in case, like, hey, if you don't step on anybody's toes, it's your backyard now. So I was introduced to somebody in Costello Park in Paterson, New Jersey, and somebody reached out for me from New York through Bobby Glasses, and I got the introduction. I went over there. It wasn't a, hey, this is so and so. It was more like I went there. Hey, I'm looking for Vincenzo. Well, who are you? I'm Pedge Tattoos. Oh, you're the guy. So I go in the back. Oh, you the guy, huh? I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy. What's so special about you? I ain't special at all. I go, like, what kind of special we talking about? Special or what? Like, I don't know. Like, for real. Like, so, and it is what it is. And I got involved with a bunch of Colombians and Cubans, because a lot of Cubans out there. I'm not some local yokel. I'm from Queens, bro. I was in some town that was like 2,200, bro. Like, like bumblefuck.
yeah.
But look, it is what it is. That's in the past. I'm done. Cancer free. I'm crime free. I don't do nothing. I'm trying to get my podcast up and running. It's not gonna be a mob thing, but I'll soothe the viewers because I know they're going to want to hear stories, and I'll do an occasional stories from the street. I'll do that. But
Yeah, you're gonna do a podcast with your son, right?
yes, with my son, it's going to be called the Mood Lounge Show after my bar, because what I had was, when I had the bar, I had a character of my face done. I drew it myself. And I had the eyebrow up like this because that's my thing, putting up the eyebrow. I did it before The Rock was doing it. Okay, I have to be cocky about that because that's my thing. But so the mood lounge was like, depending on my mood and depending on your mood, is what kind of time you're gonna have. So one day you could be laughing, the next day you'd be sad, the next, So that's why I like the name Mood Lounge. Um, the actual bar was called Little Havana Cigar Bar. So, but doing business as. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the show is going to be a topic show. It's going to be comedy. It's going to be me and my son bouncing off each other. me telling a funny twist on things, what I find funny, I do imitations, what I was doing with these mob guys, making them laugh in the streets. I used to imitate all of them. I used to have one guy, Sal Horse, and he used to play pool. When he used to grab this cue stick, he'd be like, is she there? Is she, So I would imitate him. They'd laugh at me. They'd be like, hey, do Sal Horse, and I would do the imitation and, hey, do pizza pie Petey, and I'd be like, I started imitating him, and I do that. And I used to make my son's friends laugh. They used to come to the house and I'd drive them home and I'd be like coming up with ideas in the car to make the kids laugh. I go, hey, wouldn't it be funny if my GPS sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Make a laugh, you idiot. Rides, go back to the chopper,
Or
So I
like
would
when
do
the guy
stuff.
got shot in Frankfurt, was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you fucking shoot
Yeah,
me!"
yeah. So I'm good at that, because I was a latchkey kid. So I had nothing but 11 channels back in the 70s. You had you're lucky you had 11 channels. I had 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 13. That's all I had, and it wasn't cable. So I
Yeah,
watched a lot of 60s and 70s shows, and I grew up on all the Monty Pythons and Blazing Saddles and that kind of humor. And I just hear a story and I have to change it to make it more appealing to me, and I just add a little twist to it. It is the same story, it's just there's a funny couple of tidbits in there. And so that's what my show is going to be about. We're going to do topics. We're going to have a segment called What Grinds My Gears. Like, I get so pissed over certain things. And I saw, well, not South Park, it was Family Guy, and the guy goes, "You know what
yeah.
grinds my gears?" So I like the way he said that, because I do the same thing. You know what grinds my gears? And so we're gonna do
That's
that,
a
and it's gonna be like,
great idea, man.
yeah, I
Really
appreciate
great
it.
idea.
I mean, there's a lot of comedy out there, and why not? I mean, like I've been doing this for like 25, 30 years, making people laugh. It's a little too old for me to get up on stage now and start doing stand up. And it'd be a great gimmick. Hey, former mob associate does comedy. Bada bing.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
you
Hey,
know,
Charlie, fuck you, Charlie.
right? So I mean, I could do one show, just 45 minutes on two stories, and just talking the same thing over and over and over.
I'm
But
definitely gonna have you on again. You got
oh,
a
definite, man.
lot of
I'd be
stories. I'll
honored.
bring
I'd
you
be
back
honored, man.
on,
Yeah,
and
definitely. I mean, I
I'm
like shooting the shit. I like telling stories. I told you a lot of interesting news stories, you know. So, and I promised I'd give one shout out, because I haven't mentioned this guy, Crazy Philly Boy. I mentioned him earlier, but Crazy Philly Boy, when I used to go to Ozone Park, little crazy kid, he got shot up really bad, like 13 years old, I think he was, and they caught him up really bad. He was all messed up, man. They got him all stitched up, but he was running around with the original guys, Ronnie One Arm, um, Chris Cognata, who got murdered. Um, who else? Pudgy. Pudgy was like this big loan shark that used to work for Ronnie One Arm,
I've
Ronnie
heard of him.
Gialonzo. Who else? I'm trying to think who else. I mean, just basically the Liberty Park, posse. Those kids were nut jobs, man. 13 to 18, and just running around, man. And I got blessed to meet them. And like I said, I would go everywhere and meet these people, and it was just those are my friends. Those were my, like, I would add to my like list of people I know. And I got beyond Queens. I got as far as Connecticut. I went to like northern and southern Jersey, middle Jersey, all the way up to Allentown, Harrisburg. It got to a point where I was going on a regular basis to Chicago. I was connected in Chicago. I was connected in Vegas through my friend Stefan, and I had a little connection in LA too. I mean, I was all over, and I did a little dirt everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I was known, being that troublemaker, being that wise ass, But like I said, I had my 10 minutes, and I knew when to step down. I was kind of told to leave the life too, because they saw that my life was turning in a different direction with my kid. They saw how much that kid meant to me. And he meant to me, but I like that life. I bring him in the bassinet and put him down, have a coffee in the cafe. They'd be like, "What are you doing with the kid here?" I'm like, "Well, I put my chain on him. I have this like 200-gram chain with a big 7-carat cross, and I put it on him." And they're like, "Hey, what are you doing to the kid?" I'm like, "What do you mean? He's got a little sweatsuit like me, little Pumas." And then it dawned on me, like, he's gonna imitate me. And I don't want that. I don't want him to imitate me.
Yeah,
So
you got a fresh start, man.
yeah, yeah. I'm
You
here
can
8 years,
really,
so it's been, I met people. I got people in Miami too, but I never use those connections, and I stay out of the life. You know what I mean? Like, I read, do a lot of reading, a lot of reading. That's the best thing for you. Keeps your mind, keeps it like fresh. It keeps it good. The more intake I could grab, I do it. I read everything. Conspiracy theories, stuff on the Egyptians, Bible
Yeah.
stuff, everything you name it, I get into it. But yeah, I'd love to come back on, and you can get a couple of topics. You got some questions or something else? Yeah, I'd be more than happy to answer. Maybe I can give you some juicier stories, or I could stay on like just my bar for like 2 hours. But yeah,
Definitely. There's a lot of information in this one,
yeah.
man. And
Get your book by Punch. Punch,
yeah,
Stealing Manhattan. Don't forget that.
Healing Manhattan. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time. And is there anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we go?
My son Marco. Without him, I wouldn't be doing these things. I'll tell you honestly.
Definitely, man. And shout out to Punch for making this possible. I appreciate everyone out there. And if you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this podcast, too fucking bad. Start your own. Peace. Thanks, man.